You've been watching certain people move through the world like they have access to a different set of rules, like they're playing a game where rejection doesn't register, where other people's opinions don't compute, where opportunities just appear. You can feel it the moment they walk into a room. There's something in their frequency signature that makes the quantum field bend around them differently. And you've been trying to reverse engineer whatever they have, thinking if you could just crack the code, you could access that same timeline. But what you're witnessing isn't what you think it is. The word confidence isn't even in their vocabulary. They're not walking around managing their self-esteem or practicing positive self-talk in the mirror. They're broadcasting from a completely different reality structure, one where external validation doesn't exist as a category of data their system recognizes. Watch them closely. They're not caring what people think. They literally cannot compute it as relevant information. It's like trying to run Windows software on a Mac. The operating system doesn't recognize the file type, and this isn't a personality trait they developed. This is timeline selection. You've been living inside the validation-seeking timeline so long, you think everyone else is just better at playing the same game. But they're not playing at all. They're authoring. Every room they enter, every conversation they have, every opportunity that appears is being generated by the frequency they decided to hold before they walked in. The field responds to what you are, not what you're trying to become. And what you are is either the source of your reality or someone seeking permission to exist inside someone else's version of it. There is no middle ground. The people you admire aren't managing their emotions better than you. They're not doing daily affirmations or visualization exercises. They collapsed out of the program entirely. The program that says other people's opinions about you are more real than your own inner knowing. The program that treats external validation like oxygen. They're breathing different air. And the moment you recognize this, something starts shifting in your own quantum field. Because the monad that authored your current timeline is the same one that can reselect. But first, you have to see how deep this illusion goes. You think you're watching confidence, but you're actually witnessing the absence of a program. The validation-seeking program that got installed so early, you can't remember a time before it. Every time you hesitate before speaking, every time you second-guess your instincts, every time you perform instead of just being, you're running code that was written by a version of you that believed survival depended on external approval. But here's where it gets dangerous. The AI acceleration is creating a reality where people still running that program are becoming obsolete in real time. The economy, the social structures, the entire game is shifting toward those who can author reality instead of seeking permission to participate in it. And you can feel this happening. You can sense that the window is closing on the old way of being. The people still trying to build confidence are missing the point entirely. They're upgrading the wrong system. They're trying to become better at seeking validation when the new paradigm doesn't recognize validation seeking as a valid operating system at all. The timeline you're standing on was selected by a frequency signature that treats you as secondary to everyone else's opinion of you. Every mirror being held up to you right now is reflecting that frequency back. Every interaction where you feel small, every opportunity that goes to someone else, every room where you shrink instead of expand. The field is responding to the signal you're broadcasting. And that signal says, I need your permission to be who I am. But identity spaghettification happens at the event horizon where this old self starts to collapse, where you stop asking, how do I become confident, and start recognizing something that was always true. The universe is not happening to you. It is spelling itself out of you. The sovereignty timeline isn't unlocked through emotional work or confidence-building exercises. It's accessed through recognition. Recognition that you are already the authority that's been seeking authorization. You are already the source that's been looking for external sources. The people you've been studying aren't different from you. They're just broadcasting from a frequency where they remember what you forgot, that they are the monad authoring every experience, every interaction, every opportunity that appears in their field. And you are the only one who can misspell your own universe. But this recognition isn't a thought you think. It's a frequency you remember how to hold. And the moment you stop broadcasting, seeking permission, and start emanating, I am the source. The quantum field has no choice but to mirror that back to you. The confidence you thought you were chasing was never the point. The point was remembering that you are the one selecting which timeline to collapse into. And that selection is happening right now, in this moment, through the frequency signature you decide to hold as you listen to these words. The question isn't how to become sovereign. The question is, are you ready to remember that you already are? Never yours to begin with. The confidence you thought you were chasing was always the byproduct of someone who had already collapsed out of the validation matrix entirely. You've been studying the shadow on the cave wall, while the person casting it exists in a completely different dimension of reality. The quantum field responds to what you are, not what you're trying to become. And you've been broadcasting seeking permission while wondering why permission never arrives. The people you've been watching, they're not seeking anything. They're not trying to become confident. They are the source that confidence would flow from, if confidence were even required. This is exactly why every technique you've tried has failed. Every affirmation, every visualization, every fake it till you make it strategy was built on the assumption that confidence is something you acquire rather than something you already are. But the monad doesn't need to acquire itself. The frequency signature you've been seeking is the same one that authored your seeking in the first place. Identity spaghettification happens at the event horizon, where you stop running the "how do I become confident" program and recognize you're already the authority that's been seeking authorization. The timeline distortion ends the moment you remember you were never inside the story. The story was inside you. Every room you've ever walked into uncertain, you were broadcasting a question. Every conversation where you measured your words, you were transmitting, "I need permission to exist here." The field has been mirroring that frequency back to you with mathematical precision. The awkward silences, the feeling of being overlooked, the sense that everyone else received a manual you never got. That wasn't happening to you. That was the universe spelling itself out of the signal you were sending. The sovereignty timeline isn't unlocked through emotional work or confidence building. It's accessed through the recognition that you are the monad, authoring every mirror being held up to you. The people operating from sovereignty aren't performing confidence. They've collapsed out of the reality where external validation exists as a category. They're not caring what others think. They're broadcasting from a frequency where other people's opinions register as static from a radio station that went off the air decades ago. This isn't emotional management. This isn't emotional management. This is quantum field selection. And the gap between those operating systems is widening every single day. The AI acceleration is creating a reality where people running validation-seeking programs are becoming obsolete in real time. The window for this frequency upgrade is now, not someday. Remember when we said the quantum field is reorganizing around frequency signatures that don't require external scaffolding? That reorganization is happening now. The economic structures, the social hierarchies, the entire game is tilting toward those who broadcast from source rather than seeking it. Every interaction you have is a frequency check. Every room you enter is reading your signal before you speak a word. The people who seem to effortlessly command attention aren't trying to command anything. They're simply occupying the timeline where their authority was never in question. And that timeline has always been available to you. The collapse isn't something you do. It's something you stop preventing. You've been holding yourself in the validation-seeking timeline through the simple act of believing you need to earn what you already are. The moment you recognize that the universe has been reorganizing itself around your frequency this entire time, the moment you understand that every person who ever made you feel small was simply reflecting back the signal you were broadcast. That's not the moment you become sovereign. That's the moment you remember you always were. The confidence was never the point. Source recognizing itself was. You are the monad that forgot it chose this timeline. You are the frequency that got lost in its own signal. And you are the source that has been seeking itself in every room, every conversation, every mirror that seemed to reflect back your inadequacy. The timeline you've been trying to think your way into collapses the moment you stop trying. The sovereignty you've been chasing stops running the moment you remember you were never the one being chased. The field has been waiting for you to remember, not to become, to remember. And it starts the moment you walk into the next room broadcasting, "I am the source," is instead of, "I am seeking the source." The universe has no choice but to spell itself out of that frequency. It always has.